Today's video is addressing what I like to call the dietary dichotomy, which basically it's pitting and understanding the two main schools of thought attitudes towards diet when it comes to weight loss, weight management, and to a certain extent health as well, but largely weight control. And both of these sides I've dabbled in many times over the years, and I've waffled between the two, and ultimately understood that neither side is 100% true, and we have to take something away from both sides if we're actually going to live a healthy, sane, healthy lifestyle with decent dietary measures. These two methods, okay? So method number one, we've got the bucket theory. The bucket theory is simply it's calories in versus calories out. If you've got more calories going in, you gain weight. If you have more going out, you lose weight. Pretty simple stuff. Then, of course, in the second school of thought, we've got the quality theory. And quality theory ranges like crazy. But the bottom line is they're saying it's not about how much or calories or anything, it's about what you're eating. So it's, these foods make you fat and these foods make you thin. And it's all about glycemic index or pesticides or inflammation or whatever. Okay? The thing that we've got to recognize is both these schools of thought are 100% based on true, legit, rock hard, proven without a doubt science. It's backed up by thousands of engineers and scientists which have more letters after their name than I've got in my last name, Schifferle, right? And it's backed up with loads of people who have done these things and they've lost weight and they all feel great and everything, and they're all proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that this one is true and the other one is complete hogwash. That's what both sides hold, which doesn't really solve anything for us. But let's look at these things more in detail. The bucket theory, the promise, because this is the big thing, is when people are like, I want to eat right, they understand there's got to be some sort of self-control, some sort of restriction, which kind of scares people a lot. It scared the hell out of me when I was growing up. Basically what I was looking for is I want a very simple, rock-solid rule that I can follow that will give me the security to know that I can't gain weight and I'll always be healthy and I'll never get sick and I'll live forever and all these sorts of things. Because a lot of times very restrictive dietary methods come about not from necessarily wanting to be healthy or anything, but just a place of fear and insecurity. And that was where my eating disorders came about, is I just wanted to take all the bad stuff and make sure it never happened to me. And that's what both sides promise. They also promise a certain degree of freedom. So in the bucket theory, what we have is the promise of as long as you don't eat too much and you have a good caloric expenditure, you'll never have to gain weight and you can eat anything you want. You can have your ice cream, you can have your chocolate, you can have soda pop and popcorn at the movies. You can eat anything you want. As long as you don't eat too much, you'll be fine. Okay? One simple rule, don't eat too much, you'll be fine, don't worry about it. It's like, oh, that's so simple, that's so nice. On the quality theory, what we have is we've got a lot of stuff that's based on the fear of if you eat the wrong foods, everything is going to go hell in a handbasket. But if you eat the right foods, you get to eat as much as you want. Okay, so if it's organic vegetables or grass-fed beef or whatever, eat your fill, get as much as you possibly want until you're so stuffed you can barely move. And the thing is, both of these things appeal to whatever we feel is lacking in our current diet. So if we feel like we don't get enough choices, the bucket theory will seem more appealing. And if we feel like we're not eating enough, then this will be more appealing. And this is why a lot of people, myself included, waffle between the two over the years. It's because I would subscribe to the bucket theory, feel like, man, I just feel like I'm never eating enough. So then I would read a book on how sugar's bad or carbs or whatever. Like, oh, that makes sense. And of course, I'm more drawn to it, not necessarily because the science makes sense, but just because I'm looking for a reason, there's something telling me I can eat as much as I want as long as I don't break this other rule. Basically what I'm doing is I'm looking at this rule that I'm following and like, oh man, I don't like this rule. I want to find a different rule. So the rule on glycemic index or whatever. Oh, that sounds great. I can eat anything I want, or as much as I want. Then, of course, after a while, I'm like, man, I'm sick of just eating these foods. I want my damn potato chips. I want ice cream and everything. So then I'd go back to this because I want that sort of thing. So the theory we subscribe to is more based off of what we feel is lacking and what's going to plug up the hole in our own desires and appetites, not necessarily what's the more convincing science. Okay, promise is eat anything you want or as much as you want, one freedom with one restriction. You're trading one for the other. The sin of each one, okay? The sin of the bucket theory is you're eating too damn much. You go hog wild at the football game or whatever like that, and you feel bad, and you feel like you've committed some sort of crime or whatever, guilt, all complete garbage, but that's what happens when you commit the sin of that theory. And of course, the sin with this, is we're eating the wrong foods. Oh my God, you ate crackers? How dare you? That's terrible, horrible. What the hell is wrong with you? How could you eat crackers? It's like, I'm so sorry. I mean, how stupid is this type of theory? But this is what happens. I go on like internet and there's forums of people like, I had a piece of chocolate cake. How do I undo the damage? Dude, it's not like you ran your car into a tree and you need to find a repairman. You had a frickin' piece of cake. There's not really any damage. Relax. But that's what both sides talk about, is there's damage that's done if you break the rule. And then, of course, there's salvation. Salvation of the bucket theory. You cut way back. Okay, so you fast for the next day, or you skip a couple meals, whatever sort of thing, or huge amount of caloric expenditure. You get on that damn treadmill and you're like, I'm going to sit on this thing until that damn caloric meter reads 2,000 calories. It's crazy, really. And then, of course, salvation with the quality thing is some sort of a cleansing ritual. A lot of times when people are like, I had that chocolate cake, what do I do? People are like, drink lots of water, fiber up like crazy, get even more restrictive. And that's the thing, is both of these, when we follow them, they only go so far to bringing us some benefit. Because, like it or not, no matter what, both of these are extremely limited. Because the bucket theory is true. Weight gain, weight loss, it all just simply boils down to calories. But there's that whole healthy thing issue going on. It's like, okay, sure, you can eat, I pretty much guarantee if you have a Hershey bar for breakfast, one for lunch, and then like a nice dinner, you're probably going to lose some weight. There's not a lot of calories there, but you're going to feel like crap. You're going to feel like hell, your performance and everything, going to nosedive. So that's where quality comes in. You've got to have good food. Got to have decent food in order to feel healthy, keep your immune system and your energy levels up and everything like that. But if you're eating like huge, massive amounts of quantity and you're all quality, you're only going to be able to lose weight so fast or lose so much of it, you may even gain weight. It's entirely possible. Both of these have something we need. We can't ignore both of them. Now, the thing that scares people away is like, what? I got to observe the bucket theory and that food quality matters? That sucks, because neither of them give you the freedom that you really want. I can't eat as much as I can possibly stand, and I have to limit my choices to a certain degree. Well, no one wants to sign up for that, right? Who's like, yes, what you eat and how much you eat matters. It's like, no one's going to line up at that one, because it's hard to sell a dietary program with the promise of some sort of a freedom. No, neither freedom you get to have. But the thing is, neither one really matters too much, because you can only eat so much without and get so much benefit, and you're only going to want so much variety anyway. It's not like I'm going to want to have 20 million types of potato chips in my pantry. The occasional bag of chips, and I'm like, okay, that's good, I'm fine. Our appetites are, in fact, finite, which is what we have to first recognize if we're going to get over that fear that drives us towards one of these things over the other. Both of these methods of dietary theory teach us, or are trying to instruct us, that no matter what, you've got to rely on the diet method to save yourself. Because above all else, you can't trust yourself. You're just this primal Homo sapien that's just hoping to rape and pillage and cause as much mayhem as possible. You got to put tight controls on your mind and your actions in order to save yourself from the heathens. Because that's another topic, is how dietary stuff is a lot on religious parallels and stuff. I don't want to go on that topic. But the bottom line is, don't trust yourself. You can't trust yourself. But the thing is, your body knows a hell of a lot more of what's better out of both of these than any diet book or scientific literature ever will. And it's a skill. It's a skill to know which ones of these things to pick. You know, is that chocolate cake a good idea? Well, you got to consider both of these things to know it. And only you can make that call. Only you know, do you really want that chocolate cake? How much of that chocolate cake do you want? Have you eaten too much today? Or, you know, is it a good idea to have something else? You're the only person who can make that call. I don't know. Should you have that chocolate? Sometimes yes, it's a good idea. Sometimes no, not such a good idea. Only through experience and building up your healthy eating skills can you know. It's the only way. But if you go with just one of these, yes, you have a freedom of one kind, but you're getting a restriction. I'd rather say screw all of this and have a little bit of both, and then I don't have to worry about it, because ultimately, I'll close with this. I know it's a long video. Ultimately, this is my belief. Healthy eating should be like breathing. It's something that sometimes we pay attention to it. Sometimes we may need to make some changes, really focus on it, and maybe like, okay, I need to do this a little bit differently. But 99.9% of the time, you should never have to even think about it. It shouldn't be something you have to think about or work on or worry about or stress over at all. It should be such a small, little, tiny consideration and worry about your life that it just kind of happens on its own. When that happens, then you're really onto the real healthy eating, and neither of these can even come close to the amount of benefits and how easy they are to achieve. I'll post some more stuff on healthy eating later, but I know this video is long. If you've made it this far, I congratulate you for listening to me yammer on. Thoughts down below. Till then, be fit and live free.